Hello and welcome to Transforming with Caro. My name is Caro, a transformational speaker, writer, blogger, and movable optimist. And I'm here to help you become the best version of yourself in your personal life as well as your business. Today we are talking multiple streams of income. So we'll be right back as I introduce my guest for today. Thank you so much for staying with us. So today, like I said, we are talking multiple streams of income. And my guest for today is Pastor Mwape Cholwe. We are going to be talking about a wonderful brand. We're going to be talking about the ways that you can transform your life. And we're going to be talking about being empowered, not just as a woman, but being transformed as a family. Pastor Mwape, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Carol. And good day to you, our viewers. It's such a pleasure for me to be here. I'm excited about this one. I know that many lives will be transformed.
Definitely. So the whole show is about people transforming from a place of, understanding that they can be a better version of themselves in a personal life as well as business. So today we're talking multiple streams of income. What does that mean? What does it mean for not just Zambia, but as a continent at large?
Okay, very interesting question. When you look at our lives have so many facets to them.
Yeah.
We have your personal life, your spiritual life, your family, and so on.
Yeah.
Even when you look at a typical home budget, it will have very different expense lines.
Yeah.
So you have your groceries, you have your relish, your clothing, and so on. So anytime you see that there are multiple expenses or multiple facets of life, they should be matched with multiple streams of income.
That's a different way of seeing things.
How can you have 30 things on your budget and then there's just one income to support all that? It's a strain and it's also a risk. If you have a budget that has 12 lines, for instance, you're talking rent, you're talking tax, you're talking fuel for the car, and so on. Ideally, each major outlay should be matched with a major inlay so that if you have any challenges with any of the incomes, you don't have your whole budget coming to a standstill.
Okay.
And even when you look at it at other levels, for instance, if you're in ministry, if you are a business, for example, there is such a thing as managing your risk portfolio, being able to see how best you can cushion yourself against uncertainties, because life is very dynamic. Life happens, like some people would put it.
You
Hits
can you on the blunt side.
Exactly. You can have a situation like we are currently faced with, where the mines are being, the way they've been operating is being reconsidered. What happens to a person whose only source of income was that salary from the mines, or that profit that comes from them supplying the mines? It shifts their whole life. And, in my personal work, I've had situations from my parents and even from myself where your one stream of income is under threat because of restructuring, because the economy has changed, because there's technology which has come about, and a machine is able to replace what you were doing. And if you are relying, exactly, and if you're relying on just that one aspect, what it means is that your whole life grounds to a halt because your income has been either shifted or it has been taken away. So multiple streams of income, this is a conversation that we should be having from a very tender age. We should be teaching our kids that the same way you see that you need your groceries, you need your food, you need to match the income for those major outlays in your life.
Okay, so now you spoke about having that one stream of income. Tell us a bit about yourself. Before we go to the brand, and for me, what caught my eye was the fact that you're the top earner in one of the industries that we're going to be speaking about today. But I want to know a little bit about you. How did you get to being the top earner, but then what made you make that decision, apart from just the fact that it's having different expenses and having different ways in which money can come into the household? Because I'm assuming here that everybody that knows you have been speaking to them about this, but how have you practically been an example in transforming people's minds?
Okay, thank you, Caro. Now let's take it back to where we're coming from. I'm an accountant by profession. I studied ACCA.
Most professions wouldn't think of doing what you're doing.
You're right. So I studied ACCA from ZCAS. I graduated in 2001. And when we're coming up, our parents tell us that school is important because it gives you a platform for you to be able to get yourself a good job, and then you'll be empowered and so on. So I'm coming from a background where my father is also an accountant and a pastor, by the way. And Dad, I love you. But, you know, there was a point in his life after serving as a financial controller, a chief accountant, you know, those top positions that even earn you enough income to be able to fly.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, you know, at some point I was at Fatima and he had enough money to be able to fly us from Lusaka to Ndola for school. And then restructuring took place. He was working for a parastatal, and because of that, they said they would not need any more staff. It's Zam Cargo, that was his last station. And you know, for somebody who is approaching retirement and all they've known is how to work, it's very difficult for you to have a business that takes off. So there were lessons to pick up from there, because I've noticed that a lot of people think of building houses when they retire. They think of getting into a business when they get their gratuity. But guess what? Digging a well when you are thirsty is very dangerous. Most of the times people fail because at the time that they want to establish a business, they have competing needs, and businesses need time in order for them to thrive. Okay, let's just go back a little. So my dad had a very successful career as an accountant, but one thing I noticed is that he had just that one source of income. My mom is a teacher and she's an amazing woman. My mom has always been the kind of person who multitasks. So she had her salary as a teacher, but she would always be selling. She was selling, whether it was cooking oil in the times when we had shortages, or you know, it was bathing soap, or she was always selling something. Even now as we speak, my mom is at a place where the house they live at has many fruit trees. She's always selling lemons, avocados, mangoes, whatever is in season she would be selling. And I picked that up from my mom. Because I got to realize that at a critical time when my dad had no job, it was my mom's income which was able to sustain the family, and also the skills that my mom possessed in being able to sell, that my mom was able to rally on for her to be able to raise enough money for us to have school fees and so on. Of course, my dad also joined in and started doing his own business. But there's something that I noticed. When you are in a business that requires you to be present 24/7 in order for it to continue running, anytime you have an issue such as perhaps an illness in the family, a funeral, it means the income stream stops. So
it matters what business you get into.
It does matter. And also from reading and so on, you find that the ones that have the most passive income are the ones that stand the highest chance of being financially free and then later on even being wealthy. So through those lessons in life from my parents, I began to see the different streams of income that an individual could have. Of course, we also picked up books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad that began to now clarify and put more meat to those thoughts. So now in my personal career, I did my high school at Fatima and then went to Zikas. And after Zikas, I graduated, I started working. My first job was at Deloitte, where I was working under the corporate recovery. And interestingly, that job was dealing primarily with businesses that are going under. It's those that were, bankrupt.
So there were lessons to pick from that as well.
A whole lot. Receivership, liquidations, that's what I was working on. And then later on, I joined the ZRA as a customs officer. And after joining ZRA, I noticed that there was so much creativity that I could express in other fields. So I joined Seedco. And when I joined Seedco, my first posting was as a market development officer, and then I went to procurement. And you know, over time, businesses restructure, and Seedco underwent restructuring, and my job was on the line.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
So now it was time for me to sit up, because you know, people, when you look at retrenchments and restructuring, people think that it's the old people. But at the time that was happening, I was young, only had 2 children. My second born was a couple of months old, and there was a lot that was at stake, because it meant that we would shift from having 2 sources of income in the home to having just 1 source of income. And when you've budgeted and you've structured your life a particular way,
it must have been taxing.
Yes, it was quite a change. But you know, thankfully we had ministry running, and I also had started a bridal business and several other things. I picked up that trait of being able to make do with what you have. Sell if you have to, go out and get clients if you have to. I picked that up from my mom. And it's a necessary skill that any person who is serious about financial freedom, you need to learn how to sell. Yeah. So when that happened, you know, again, back to the principle, you cannot dig a well when you're thirsty. I now said, I want to live the same kind of life I used to live when I was working.
But things have changed.
So I started exploring opportunities, tried several network marketing companies because of how they'll tell you that, you know, when you join this business, you can be a 6-digit income earner, you can travel the world and so on. And I was intrigued by that. But I never really took time to study how it's done. So I would join, I was a hit and run sort of distributor where I would join, jump in, and before I would even bring in the first person on board, I would just jump out and go to the next one and go to the next one. And I got to a place where I concluded that this business model does not work. And I started to pursue trading. I said, look, let me stick to what I know. I've learned how to trade from my high school days. I've seen my mom trade all her life, so let me go back to trading. And that's what I did. So I went into, you know, several aspects of trading, men's clothes. I even had a cafeteria at some point. But, you know, again, business skills take time to develop. And I had been out of touch for so many years, almost 10 years, I was not really doing business at a serious level. So my skill set was limited to report at 8 o'clock, knock off at 5. And as a result of it, I'll take full responsibility. My business is closed down. Now again, I have my husband who has pumped in so much capital into what I'm doing. I have the people who are looking up to me and saying, oh, look at her, she's a pastor's wife, and you know, you've got kids, you've got your personal needs, and now I'm sitting thinking to myself, good Lord, what next? What am I going to do? And that's when I started, Longreach started knocking on my heart, you know, like.
What changed your mind?
What changed my mind was the product. Because, you know, my upline, my leader, Sister Swaki, she had been on my case for several months. And I thought to myself, you know, these network marketing people, they can be such a bother. You know, they'll be in your inbox, they'll be on your phone. You'll be seeing their brands everywhere. Whatever it is you try to converse with them about, they will just be talking about their products. But there was a time when I needed to use a different type of sanitary napkin. You know, being women, I noticed that maybe because of stress or several changes, you know, yeast infections were so frequent. So a good friend of mine who happens to be my cousin, who, you know, she's a specialist at women's health, she recommended, she said, you know what, you could actually change your life by changing your sanitary napkin. And since it was coming from a neutral person, I sat up and I said to myself, maybe I should consider. Maybe I should consider, because I'd frequented the gynae for a number of months, and, you know, I was now getting tired of it. But I still wasn't convinced. And then I thought to myself, really, what do I stand to lose? If I send her 1,000 rands and she sends me these sanitary napkins that they're saying have so many health benefits, what do I stand to lose? So I took the step and I got the first Longreach panty liners then. And I used them, and interestingly, after a few days, I noticed a huge difference. And I said, wow, okay, so this actually works. So they're actually network marketing companies whose products actually work.
And you understand why they're passionate.
So that made me sit up. But I still wasn't convinced. What I really wanted was to be able to get the product at a discount. So she told me, look, if you register an account, you'll be able to get a member price, so you won't have to buy off of me at a profit. And I said, okay, go ahead and do it. So she did. And then I tried the body wash and the bamboo soap and the sword, and I was like, oh wow, okay, these are nice products. And then later on, I started trying the supplements, and the supplements also worked beautifully. So I became interested, but not to the level of me being passionate enough to come in as a distributor. When she noticed that my purchases were increasing, she said, why don't you register a second account? So I said, okay, if that's going to help me to have the so-called PVs that you're talking about, then maybe I should go ahead and do that. So I registered my husband's account and then my son's account, and I continued. You know, I first shared the products free of charge. I told the ladies, you know what, these are working for me, try them out. And guess what, they came back with the same feedback. They said, wow, this is an amazing product. And some of them even started explaining other benefits that I never knew the panty
So it opened
liners.
up your eyes in a whole different way.
In a whole different way. So it was a product that changed my mind. And then a little later, I then started to weigh my options. I said, okay, look, I've got these businesses that I've closed down. And I have this product that people are gaining interest in because of how it works. Maybe there's an opportunity here. Maybe there's something that I'm missing. Maybe I shouldn't look at this the way I've looked at the 5 other MLMs that I jumped in and jumped out of, you know. So I sat down and I had to introspect, and I started writing down. I said, okay, what are my chances in the job market? You know, went through newspapers, went through several websites, and I realized something. Number one, there's the issue of time freedom. 4 kids. At the time, 3 of them were under 5. And I'm looking at issues like school runs. I'm looking at just being able to have flexibility. You know, if I got a call from the office, I remember one time I got a call from the office and the nanny said to me, Yasha has a fever. And I used to work 20 kilometers from the Central Business District, and I was living in Avondale. So I was covering 43 kilometers per day. And here I am at the office. The nanny calls me, says, your son has a fever. My boss says, you have to finish this report. You know, so that's one of the considerations I had to make. I said, do I really want to go back to the kind of life? Where my time, I've sold my time. I cannot flex around it. And my children need me. And then also I'm looking at ministry. You know, as a pastor, there's all these things that come up. Somebody needs something done for them. Maybe they need to be attended to in terms of prayer. Maybe a funeral has just taken place, and you know, maybe there's so many things. Our lives are so dynamic and demanding. So I was saying to myself, I need a stream of income that can take me into passive income quickly. And if you look at the major source of passive income in our society now, it's usually rental income. How much money do you need in order for you to put up a house that will give you a decent amount of rental income? Say if your monthly budget is 6,000, how much money do you need to put up a house that will give you 6,000 kwacha's rental income? You know, you're running towards the millions, even if it's flat. So I had to sit down and look at my options, weigh my options, look at what do I have in my hands. You know, like God asked Moses, what do you have in your hands? I can use what you have in your hands. And what I had in my hands at that time was a minimum amount of income, probably 1,000, 1,500 that I could easily maneuver with, and a whole lot of time.
A lot of times, you know, it's funny that you actually mention amounts, because one of the things I wanted to ask you was, you have worked both corporate and then you went into the, you know, sort of non-traditional kind of business. What is the one thing that maybe somebody out there is watching and thinking, you know, for me, I mean, I'm coming from the business side, so I've understood that it takes time. A lot of times, one of the things that attracts people is the fact that they just assume, you know, like I mentioned at the beginning, you're the top earner in Zambia in this company. Did it take you, you know, the fact that you had to put in a lot of money, and then did it take you a lot of time compared to the traditional, you know, it takes 2 years, 3 years for you to have a sustainable business? What would you tell somebody out there who is thinking and listening, you know, she went to school, why does she need to do this business? She worked in corporate, you know, you can always balance time. What are the things that you can point out to somebody to tell them that, listen, this is the way it works, you know, a more realistic kind of path? Because also somebody might be listening and saying, you're a pastor's wife, do you need to do anything? Won't you get tithes and offerings? You know, so it's all those things that I would really love to hear, because some people see these things or hear these things, but they don't have something tangible or somebody that they've actually, you know, heard. Because sometimes on social media, you know, you hear certain things and you think they're not real, and not everybody can attend to all the events that you hold. So somebody who's watching and listening now, what is the realistic side of this?
Okay, the realistic side is they call it network because there is work.
Okay.
It's not speculative, because some people think if I come in as a VIP, for instance, I'm putting up so much money. The first thing you have to understand is that a business that is product-based is speaking to stability. It's speaking to the fact that there is something that is being transacted that is producing profit.
I love that. Stability.
Yeah, so it is work. There was a point in time when I was working 20 hours a day. I would wake up in the morning and I would work until 2 to 3 o'clock in the night, planning, strategizing, communicating with my team, studying, going through videos, going through materials to equip myself, because it was a new field.
And rightfully so, everybody should do that regardless of the industry.
Exactly. It was a new field, and I realized that one of the major tipping points, one of the things that distinguish networkers one from the other is, number one, the knowledge that they have. And then the second thing is the time that they put in. And you can acquire knowledge quite easily if you can just go to the right places on the internet. And
we have it at our disposal.
We do. And the second thing is, if you cut down the number of hours of sleep, you could actually put in enough time for you to be able to make it in this business. It's so different from what happens in the corporate world, where you're leveraging perhaps on the growth of the business itself in order for you to have a new position created, or you're looking at relationships. How do you relate to your boss, and that can earn you a promotion? Are you looking at adding more papers? It's quite different, and there's trade secrets that are kept close to the chests of those who are in the top tier of the.
So this is not the case with this industry.
It's not the case.
You don't have to have had a degree. You don't have to. You don't need any qualifications other than the passion. What do you need to get started on this?
What you need is, firstly, to have a clear picture of why you are doing it.
Okay.
So
it doesn't derail you.
It doesn't derail. And also because it's a challenging industry, Caro. It's an industry that requires you to be resilient, to maintain your focus, to keep going when others are stopping, and to run. Sometimes you have to even run outside of yourself, because your mind will tell you it's not working, but you have to keep going.
Would you say you're at a point of having felt like the steps that you took, the late nights and everything, has it paid off? I mean, because when I think about certain figures, an average Zambian, we are talking the highest amount you've earned is 300,000, aside the other passive income. 300,000 is like 3 years of somebody's consecutive, annual income. How did that come about? Because some people would dispute that, to say that's a lot of money. Why would somebody pay you that? Obviously, like you said, it comes with work. Is it, that somebody has to work a certain amount of time? If I join the business today, does it mean that I'm also, is that amount also available to me? How does that work out?
Okay, so I'll start with the last question. If you join the business today, is that amount available to you? Absolutely. And the beautiful thing with the way the platform works is such that it's very fair. I've got people who joined earlier than me, who've not yet attained this level. They've kept going because their vision is clear.
So it's not about the time frame.
So it's not about the time frame. And I've also got people who are within my team who are actually at the point where they could run ahead of me in terms of the rank. So how did I get to this point? I got to this point by firstly understanding what the network marketing business is all about. It's number one, it's a people business. And secondly, it's a product based. So if you're going to look at a proper network marketing business, you're taking a product to the people. You're using a model where, say for instance, I like your top, it's beautiful, Caro. In network marketing, once you tell me where you bought that top, you're already earning money, because that's a referral. So you get paid for referrals, okay? Once I have other people join the team and they are also transacting, they're also either using the product or they are bringing people on board, the potential to earn the passive income begins to be unlocked. Okay, so you have to distinguish the two. When it comes to the corporate or the trading side of business, once you open up and say to everybody who your source is, somebody can go and get products from that source and even undercut. Okay, with network marketing, it's the opposite. You tell me who your source is, you come on board with me.
So it's controlled.
Yes. So you have a situation where the more we tell people, the more we increase our potential for earning. So what did I do? I started to build a team, because I noticed this is a business that requires me to build a team. So I started to build a team. I started to train the team for them to understand how does it work? What is the difference between the products that we have and the products that you find on the market? What should be applied in which situation? If somebody has a skin condition, for instance, what do they need to do in order for them to recover from the inside out? So started learning those things and imparting them on my team, giving them the vision and the drive for them to work with a goal in mind rather than just coming in and working in a way that we call chipante in Denver, where somebody just comes in, they just, doing things anyhow.
I think for me, what I would also ask is, after hearing what you're saying, a lot of people, like you said, you try this business, you try that business. I want to know if somebody's watching right now and saying, you know what, I've heard of it, or I've heard of this industry, but are you here to stay? Because some people start, they stop. In the recent times, we've been hearing about how we've got a lot of Ponzi schemes, we've got a lot of things that have been happening, and people are losing millions, they're losing money. What is the one advice that you can give them? And also, what would be the one thing to say, you know what, we're here to stay? Is the business, do you just have a warehouse? Is it one of those things where it's registered here in Zambia? What would be the safety net for somebody who's maybe hasn't heard of it, or is hearing it for the first time and is considering? What would make them stay? What is the safety net that you would give them right now?
Okay. All right. So, firstly, on the issue of Ponzi schemes, it's basically because those things are fueled by greed. Somebody wants to reap where they did not sow. Somebody wants to make 100,000 when they're putting in 100 kwacha, and they don't even want to work. Somebody asked me a question: if I get a platinum pack, which is at 2,500, what will I be earning every week? I said the first thing is you are getting the products. If you go to a supermarket and you buy your trolley full of groceries, what would you be earning from that purchase?
It's just consumables.
So, in the first instance, if you just come into the business and you get your starter pack, you would have already been level, because what happens is that the company is giving you the product and you have paid for that product. And for long reach, you actually pay less than what the platinum pack or the silver pack or the gold pack, you're paying less, so you're actually getting it at a discount. So you've got the benefit of the discount, you've got the benefit of the health that those products.
So you're not losing out.
You're not losing out even on that aspect. Think about a person who was like me, frequenting the hospital. How much does it cost to see a specialist, Caro? If you're going to the hospital, how much does it cost to see?
Just to see them is probably about 400, 500.
500.
Just consultation before they give you the medicine.
And the lab tests?
Oh my goodness, let's not even go there. You could go up to 1,000.
Exactly. Yeah. So if somebody buys a box of sanitary napkins for 850, for instance, do you realize that in itself is giving you the benefit of what you would inquire for? Because there you're just going for an inquiry.
Yes.
Okay? So that's the first thing that we must realize. A proper business will have a product attached to it. Then the next thing is the track record. Because you're saying, is this a hit and run?
Yes, is it a hit and run?
Okay, the track record. Carol, I won't ask you how old you are, but in my assessment, you're probably in your 30s.
Yes.
We're talking about a 32-year-old business. You're probably around, our age.
Yeah.
So they've been there long enough.
Yeah.
A business that has a research facility in France, in the US, distribution centers in the UK. I mean, those are economies where the legislative system is very strict. I don't think a person who wants to just have an operation to steal money from people, I don't think they would go into a country like the US and be there for 8 years plus. You're talking about a business that has been, many other big brands have trusted it. Brands like Elizabeth Arden, I know you love beauty, and so many others. So this is not a fly-by-night business.
Okay.
Even in terms of the registration status, Longreach in Zambia is looking at manufacturing. They're looking at setting up a place, a center that is going to add value, apart from just extracting raw material. But we're looking at how we can add value to what is locally available. That is the key thing,
adding value.
Yes, and this has been done already in Nigeria. Feasibility studies are underway for Ghana and for South Africa as well. So this is not a business that is here to just collect money and go. We're tax compliant. We have a registration with Workers' Compensation, Lusaka City Council, and it's almost a year now in the country, but this is just the beginning.
Amazing.
It's just the beginning. This is a manufacturing and research-based company. That's the backbone of this company. So even when it comes to the products that we're seeing today, this is not the end of what the company is able to provide.
I've heard they've got over 2,000 products.
Over 2,000 products,
That's
including our own diapers, our own phones, our own electronics, sports, especially sports shoes, supplements, beauty products, makeup. You know, there's a whole lot.
So you're basically switching and earning with this industry.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Absolutely. Now, before we close off, I think for me, having heard everything that you've said holistically, what is the one thing that you would, I primarily focus on women being empowered, but generally the whole show about transformation is for people to transform their minds and become, better versions of themselves. Now, what would you have to say to somebody out there in terms of multiple streams of income, in terms of them being empowered, and also generally just the health? Because I know we are having, it's sort of like healthy living has become a trend, but I would want you to tell them the truth side of it. What is the benefit of you actually taking care of yourself and at the same time opening up these, these avenues of multiple streams of income? Because sometimes people feel that, money will give them long life. But, I always say that health is wealth. I don't know if you agree, or if you don't agree, what would you say to somebody before we close off?
Absolutely, Cara. I agree with you when you say health is wealth, because when you look at the industries that making so much off of people, look at how much people are spending to go to India, for example, go to South Africa to try and get their health corrected. I mean, my heart goes out, because it's very difficult to deal with a situation where you have a loved one who is, in a state where they can't even help themselves. But you know what? So many of those instances could be prevented if we just changed a few products around us. Okay. For example, if you switched from your regular water, acidic water, and started drinking alkaline water, do you know that alkaline water, a body that is inundated with alkaline water, cannot sustain cancer? What is the cost of cancer on the economy? One time I cried when a certain very well accomplished medical person passed away because of cancer. What's the real impact of that loss? Look at the family, look at the society. I mean, so many years of learning wiped away for something that probably supplements and water could have helped to either slow down.
I'm a lover of supplements for years.
Could either slow it down or even eliminate it completely. We've got cases of people who have those testimonies proven by medical reports, where people have even come back and said this person has been declared. So the products are readily available in Zambia? The products are readily available. Of course, there are some regulations around supplements, which we are very observant to. Okay. But you know what? I mean, these are people who are well, some of them travel a lot to South Africa and so on. We can always link them up to somebody who can give them the products in the country where they are registered. Okay, so the products are readily available. Now, coming back to the thing of transforming the way we think, and talking about it in relation to network marketing. When you catch a flu, the next time you catch a flu, just know it's because of your network. Somebody came in contact with you and infected you with something. And there are people who say, I don't believe in network marketing. I don't believe in all this, some people even call it pyramid selling, which, by the way, Longreach is not a pyramid. But when you come for the presentation, I'll tell you why we say so. Okay, they say they don't believe in it. And yet, here is somebody who is treating a flu. It's because somebody came in contact with you. You don't even know where it came from, but somebody came in contact with you. And because of that contact, because of that network, you now have to deal with the situation. Look at even how we handle things like weddings and kitchen parties. We will form a committee. And that committee will be required to bring in contributions. Yes. That committee is drawn from our network. And even when they bring those contributions are going to finance expenditure. They're not financing anything with income potential. Just expenditure. It's just expenditure that they are financing. It's the same sort of thinking that we can apply to this business. Your network is your net worth. And it's time to look at your network differently. When you look at how your budget is broken down, you have your groceries, you have your shampoo, you have your bathing soap, you have your lotion, your roll-on, your sanitary napkins, and so on. Do you know that as long as you keep using other brands, there is no income potential there? No. You can buy the most beautiful lotion. Packaged. but there's no income potential. What we're saying with Longreach is, look, we've got organic products, and apart from that, we have a platform that you can use to convert your bathroom into a gold mine. So you no longer have to look at your bathroom and wonder if your shampoo runs out. You don't start thinking to yourself, oh my God, where am I going to get the money from? When your shampoo runs out, you're now saying, oh, I have another opportunity to invest a little more in this business.
That is amazing.
While improving my looks. So change how you perceive this. Can you imagine that if you are on supplements, and I know, Caro, you like supplements. Yeah. If you're on supplements and you're a member of the Longreach business, you're a distributor of the Longreach business, you're basically being paid for being healthy. Because you buy that supplement, it's going to earn you points, and you get your various bonuses that, your maintenance bonus and so on.
So there's incentives and everything.
There's incentives. This is
amazing to hear. This is amazing to hear. Now, you've told me that my bathroom can become a gold mine. So I'm about to close off. I want to know, I'm here in Zambia, or, I'm listening to you and I'm in another country. How do I get the products? Where you found in Zambia? How do I connect to somebody who is outside? I think that for me, just the word gold mine has already rung an alarm in my head. So I'm thinking I need to do this as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so what? I have a page on Facebook called High Flyers. Okay. So you search for Longreach, ZM High Flyers. Okay. And if you send us a message on that one, you'll be able to get us. I know you also have several pages that they can reach you on. Yeah. Apart from that, we have our training center in the showgrounds. It's called the Launchpad because we're launching you into your wealth. Amazing. So CV3 in the showgrounds, you'll find us there. We have several programs where we train people, we share the opportunity, we demonstrate how the products work. And then, am I allowed to give out my number?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so you can also reach me on 0977 887577. Okay. That's 0977 887577, or look out for Mwapet Cholwe on Facebook, and you'll be able to get more information about how we do this. Very quickly, think about starting from 770 kwacha. You get products worth that amount. You also get a registration form, okay? So you will then be guided on how you go about.
And somebody is there to hold your hand.
Somebody is there to hold your hand. And then the possibilities, the incentives, and the things that you stand to benefit, apart from the fact that you also get developed as an individual. This business has helped me to become more patient.
A better version of yourself.
A better version of me. If you met me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I was the kind of snappy sort of person, like, oh, no, what? If you don't want to do it my way, it's my way or the highway, you can go. But with this business, you learn to value every person, and I think that's just awesome.
I think that's a wonderful way to close it, the fact that there's value in everything. So I hope that today's episode has helped somebody. You've been empowered, you've been informed, and you've become a better version of yourself in your personal life as well as your business. So until the next episode, it's goodbye.